Hi, grasshopper. You are not welcome. Go somewhere else. Yeah. Okay, this end of the bed is royal purple beans, and the other end is pink-eyed purple hull peas. There are no flowers on the pink-eyed purple hull peas yet, although I do see someone else, a grasshopper, who needs to go. Hi, grasshopper. You are not welcome. Go somewhere else. Yeah. These guys are blooming, so the royal Burgundy beans are blooming, so I can see. Yeah, there's a bean there. It's 3/8 of an inch long, but that's okay. It's a start. These poor beasts, geez Louise. These are our Carson beans, and they have been through, if you'll pardon the expression, hell. It has been terrible this year. We had early influx of cucumber and bean beetles that just chewed the bejesus out of them. We wound up with a strange fungal infection. We wound up with the tops of these being broken out by a hailstorm. But as you'll see, I do have a bunch of babies on there. So I would say in another, probably the end of this week or the beginning of this weekend, I should have another big harvest off of here. I've been getting dribs and drabs. I've been freezing up a lot of Carsons, and it won't be the monumental harvest that we've had some years, but it's not a fail, especially considering what they've been through. Now, this little guy is an experiment down here, and I take his picture every day just to prove that we did get a watermelon in the garden. See? I don't know if we'll get any more than one, but so far we don't have any watermelons that appear to have set in the greenhouse. And I was concerned about pollination there, but I can only do so much. So we're seeing what happens. These are our provider beans, and they also have suffered great trepidation, but they came up beautifully, and they were decimated by squirrels. Just decimated. Whew. There's one of our local critters. Let's see if he'll come out again. These guys are scary, and if you don't know what they are, where are you? Fortunately, they're not particularly aggressive. Oop, I missed a bean this morning. I need to pick him. I try not to let them get too big, but see, these make beautiful, beautiful beans. And despite the fact that we've had just this little section of beans, oh, there's one. Guys got to see this to believe it. This is a tarantula hunter. They're actually, oh, there's two of them in here. I thought there was another one over there. This one's bigger than the other one. They're actually a little scary if you don't know. They're actually looking for bugs to eat and to use in their with their larvae. But they're huge. They're about half the size of a hummingbird, and they're very loud, and they have these bright orange wings and a sort of an iridescent body, which can be a little scary when they buzz you. You just have to remember not to swat at them. They fortunately are not aggressive. They're supposed to have a very uncomfortable, painful bite, but they're not aggressive, so you have to do something dumb generally to get stung by them. These are the Cabbage Eye Transplants, and I am delighted. They're doing really well. So we're hoping that these will really do something. We're not getting any heads yet, but they're doing great. I really didn't even expect them to survive. So I'm very happy with that. Swiss chard, red Callaloo. We have not fallen in love with the flavor of the red Callaloo, but we have definitely fallen in love with the way the plant looks. Now, these are in the amaranth family, as you can tell by the form of the flowers and seeds. Our problem with these is going to be we don't really want them to procreate. We don't want red Callaloo all over the yard, but we really like the way these look. And it really reminded me why I need to be growing certain types of flowers again. These are our red okra. It was an experiment. They haven't done super well. We're getting a couple every day. Today I think I just got one because I wanted to let this guy grow a little bit bigger. We've had major infestations of aphids on these, which I try not to spray too much, but I did spray here finally because the ants were driving me crazy. The ants that we were getting on here were really aggressive biters, and I would be getting a piece of okra off here and I always got bitten, and I don't like that. That's not my idea of a good time. Oh, there's another tarantula hunter. This is a smaller one. They're kind of scary looking. They look like a giant wasp. Ooh, scary. Anyway, now the corn. We've eaten some corn. We got very poor pollination this year. Our male parts came on too early, so the pollen came on before the tassels came on. We did a little reading on that, and they're saying that in extreme heat, extreme lack of water, you know, all those kind of things, we had the worst time keeping this wet enough. We have enjoyed the corn that we have gotten. I'm probably going to see if I can get through today and just cut this down and harvest anything that's left. This was supposed to be bodacious sweet corn. We kept it well fertilized. It was happy. It was dark green, but we just got really lousy pollination, and I'm sorry, I guess it wasn't supposed to be grown in 105-degree weather, and we had at one point anywhere between 103 and 105 every day for 2 weeks, and that was just too much. Tomatoes. This is actually watering right now, so if you hear a funny background noise, that's what it is. These have done really well. This is one of our experimental beds where we were trying a bunch of different varieties. The ones that we love out of here are Granadero, which produce buckets of these big, beefy Roma style tomatoes. Homestead, which produces these really nice size ones. And Gardener's Delight, which produces literal buckets of itty bitty cherry tomatoes, which are so sweet and delicious. Nothing at all like those terrible little golf balls. The Phelan here was Inca. It produces tons and tons of fruit, but it is very susceptible to blossom end rot. And if you spray it all the time with calcium, I mean, I put the calcium nitrate around the bottom. Temporary fix at best. It just requires way more access to calcium than we have locally. So I will switch over to Granadero and forget about Inca. It's just, but it's a very heavy producer and it's got great flavor. It's just we're trying to find things that are easier to grow. So yeah, very happy with this bed. This bed has literally produced pounds and pounds and pounds of tomatoes. It's already been harvested off today. So, and yesterday was a huge harvest. So today was just sort of a little dribble. These are mostly herbs and things. Our sunflowers back in here have already been harvested. And these are mostly wild sunflowers here. We're just leaving them because the goldfinches love them. Ground cherries. I have quarts and quarts and quarts of ground cherries sitting in the kitchen waiting to be husked. So, and I have more to pick in here too that I just did a quick pick this morning. These have been very badly devastated by bean beetles this year, but they've come back several times. You can see they're still sort of lacy, and I need to probably spray them again, but we're very happy with them, and we will definitively be growing them next year. Poblano peppers, very happy with them. They are hot this year, way spicier than last year's, and some of them have now started to turn red, so that's okay. I like some of them to turn red. I'll roast those for Henry and freeze them because he likes roasted peppers. And in the middle of the winter time, that's a real nice treat with a little bit of olive oil and stuff. You may remember this is where we had our Alaskan Fancy. And I seeded in a bunch of brassica in here, and we appear to be coming up. So we're very happy with that. These should be pak choi and kohlrabi. Oh, I can tell the difference between the two different types of kohlrabi over here. That's funny. You put pussycat footprints from when you zoomed through here. But yeah, you can see that some of these have sort of a red tinge to them. So those are the red kohlrabi. Cool. And yeah, there's a ton of various types of brassicas coming up in here. So we have great hopes that this will be very productive. We had some of the kohlrabis from out of here the other day in a salad. It was really wonderful. Still have, I need to pull those pak choys. They're pretty much past their best use by date. But the kohlrabis in here, even if the leaves look a little ragged, are still fine because they have these wonderful tough bulbs that you peel, and those are still totally tasty. So that was a really nice addition. We had a mostly veggie lunch the other day with kohlrabis and corn and tomatoes and just all kinds of stuff. Then we topped it off with some good Irish cheese. More tomatoes. Experimenting with a couple of different types. This one on the end here is Amanda Orange. The last storm split the trunk on it a bit, but it's still producing well, and we've gotten a couple of very nice fruits off of it. Has some basil under here too. Mortgage lifter, very productive. Being picky about flavor, we like the flavor of the Amanda Orange and the Big Boy better. So although it's a very productive fruit, it's totally a matter of what your preference in tomato flavors are. It's a less acid tomato, and but very productive. I'm very happy to see some of my dill is coming back. It's got some weeds in here too, but I don't want to pull the weeds because the dill is involved in it, and I don't want to mess up the dill. And I've got a little squash over here. I got that's a patty pan. Got a patty pan squash off of it. These beans here are yard long. The ones on this end are red noodle, and the ones on that end are Gita, which is a green yard long, and we love them. Love them, love them, love them. If I had to choose between the two, and it could only grow one, I would probably take Gita. I just happen to like the sweetness of the bean, but I'm probably going to grow them both again next year. I will grow them both again next year. I'm pretty sure I have seeds left. Very happy with that. This is a wild sunflower. It's getting enough drainage off of the bed that it did well. Oops, I see a praying mantis. Okay, that's a boy. A male praying mantis. Let's see if I can get a good picture of him here. See if I can get him. Hold still. Of course, the wind decides it's going to blow. And he's like, something giant is trying to get me. No, I'm not trying to get you, honey. I'm just trying to hold the plant still. There we go. That should, hopefully you can see him there in silhouette. Yep, there we go. He's cute. That's a boy. That's good because we've been seeing lots of girls around here, but we haven't seen any boys. This over here is our dent corn, and we are getting some ears on here that have got silk at the same time as the pollen at the top. So yeah, we're hoping that we'll get some corn here. The dent corn is actually quite edible as a fresh corn, as long as you eat it like when it's ready. If you don't let it go past, it'll get tough because it can be used as a storage corn. This is just the other side of the bed here. And some of these have already had a bunch of limbs trimmed off of them because they're done. This one here is carbon, and it's good, but like I say, we're being really picky. So if I'm going to grow the beefsteak style tomatoes, I'm going to grow big beef, and I'm going to grow Amanda Orange because those are the two flavors that we like the best. Carbon has got a good flavor, but you know, I'm being picky and I'm allowed. It's my garden. Here comes Isa again. The garden pussycat. Do, 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 do. Miss Bitey Bitey. Yes, Miss Bitey Bitey. These little ones down here are Ravello. I have gotten literally buckets off of the Ravello plant. That's as big as they get, and they're delicious. I may or may not grow them next year because I'm trying to cut down on the number of tomato plants, and although they're productive, I'd rather focus on Gardener's Delight instead. These are some, I don't know why that's pulled out. Okay, well, there's some onions in here that I obviously need to harvest, and they're not going to be big, but they'll be fine for chopping up when you just need a little bit. There's a volunteer tomato plant in here too. It just came up from, did we have tomatoes in here last year? I don't even remember if we had tomatoes in here last year. No, I don't think we did. I think we had beans in here. So that's a 2-year-old tomato plant that just came up. But I am excited about the fact that I have more dill coming up in here, and I've been trying not to disturb them. So if there's weeds around them, I won't yank the weeds because I don't want to mess up the dill. So this is the mullein, which I accidentally let get away from me last year in terms of seeding, and it has seeded all over the yard, so now I am having to pull out buckets of it. But I'm not going to pull this guy out because I don't want to hurt this. These plants have produced and produced and produced and produced. I harvested a ton out yesterday. Again, our favorite here is Granadero. Look at this is a typical batch of fruit off of the Granadero. And we have a forest of sunflowers here. Goldfinches just adore them. The hummingbirds love them too. So I just decided to let this little forest grow here. Usually I plant a lot of annuals in here, and I didn't this year. Everything here is self-seeded, except for the sticks here, which were originally sunflowers, and they've all been harvested. They're small, but the birds are going to love them, especially when it gets to be cold. And these are wild violets. We have marigolds. This is another one of those giant mullein things that they're very architectural, and I love the way they look, but if you let the seeds go, you suffer for it the next year. I've been pulling out buckets and buckets of plants here. We have a ton of bachelor buttons that grew here, just gorgeous this year. Probably the best bachelor button display I have ever had. One of our unexpected visitors is this guy. Did not expect him to come back. Actually was over against the back, over in there. There was a plant. I am pleased with the small but pretty display of marigolds. But this area is all protected so the gophers can't get underneath it. And these are chrysanthemums. So that one's yellow. This is the purpley color. These have been so fussy. That's the best way to put it. Sometimes they bloom in the spring, sometimes they bloom in the fall. But as long as they bloom, I don't really care. So I have given them water and given them a little love and tried to beat the weeds back into submission. This is going to be Cosmos. So hopefully you found that interesting. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and be sure to come back because we have all kinds of stuff. I am just now pulling together my seeds for fall planting, so we're going to be busy. I still have lots and lots of preserving to do today. So until next time, bye.